something that says start broadcast. The
We're
broadcast
live.
is live. You're on.
We're live.
Yay! Hi, people.
Hello,
Congratulations, everybody, for step one. Step one.
Yes.
All right.
So, you guys, who wants to start? Who wants to digest this?
Hold on a second, Jeff. Jeff is doing the first StreamYard opening. So, Jeff, you can see on the comments and post the comments on the screen if people have questions. See how that is? Go to
Right, I see it. Yep.
Okay. Making sure you're aware of how this works.
Okay. So just to give you kind of the 30,000 foot level decision, and then I'll let the other attorneys kind of get in the weeds about the decision. First of all, please do take a chance to read the decision. It's really very well written. It starts out kind of referencing Romeo and Juliet and how they were also lovers who were separated by a plague and don't have to deal with those kind of things. And so here we are again with your spouses, your fiancés separated by a plague and having to deal with that. And then the judge goes through the analysis of the preliminary injunction. And if you remember, there were a lot of arguments we were making in the argument about, is it legal what the judge is doing? Does the statute at 212F prohibit the issuance of visas at the consulate? On all of the legal arguments, the judge found in our favor. The judge essentially found basically everything that the government is doing in terms of denying your visas is illegal, okay? But there's another part to this. So in other words, if they're saying you can't get a visa because of the proclamation, they're full of baloney. That's what the judge says. But there's a whole other side to this, and that is the delay in each of your individual cases reasonable? And that the judge had a harder time deciding. And he did go through what we call the track factors, which are 6 different factors that the court employs to determine whether or not a delay is reasonable. And in the government's favor,
hold on. Sure. Can you mute your sound for now? Chuck.
Yeah, can you mute me? I'm on my.
Jeff.
Oh, I can? Okay, sorry.
You can probably mute yourself too. There we go. Okay.
All right. So in terms of the delay, for the government's favor, it was essentially arguments that it is reasonable for the consulates to place conditions on what types of delays can happen, and that it gets very nitpicky to determine when a delay becomes reasonable or not, given COVID. And so the judge basically did not rule out that at some point the delay will be unreasonable. And for particular plaintiffs, the judge indicated that the delay may already be unreasonable. But at this point, the judge wasn't willing to say that per se across the board, this is a delay that is unreasonable in all cases. The judge has set it for a status conference on December 3rd. As we indicated, this is just the first stage in the litigation. So the status conference on December 3rd is essentially, where do we go from here? Do we proceed to summary judgment? Is there going to be discovery that we need on these cases, which, may be instructive of the ultimate legal issue on delay? And we set the case for briefing on summary judgment. Meanwhile, the whole time, the judge is going to want status updates from the plaintiffs on what's going on the ground. And as long as they're not moving on K1s, the closer we get to summary judgment, the more likely we are to win on those claims as well, on the unreasonable delay. And now I'll mute myself and turn it over to the other attorneys so they can talk about some of the other nuggets in the decision. And then we'll get into questions.
Okay. So as far as the, I think Jeff's analysis is spot on. I do think that, he sort of he almost invited the people to pursue matters individually.
Well, this is, I'll just jump in. I didn't see you jump in. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, no, feel free to, but I was just saying that the way the decision is written, it sounds like he's, basically saying, I might be inclined to issue this with some more time, and once I'm getting these status reports and know more about what the government is actually doing, where they're going to have to, I think, defend consulate by consulate in some cases to explain the delays and that it's reasonable. And then he also basically invited individual actions as well, which is something that some people may decide that that's something that they want to look at. But obviously for the people that are in the countries that were being barred from visa issuance altogether, this is great news for them, and for the others, it's not a loss. It's more of sort of like a holding pattern for them. But obviously we would have liked to have gotten mandamus across the board with the unreasonable delay. Chuck, what do you want to say? Now he's quiet. Yeah,
for those of you that have been getting these, I don't know if you can hear me okay. I'm in really terrible location. 3G in Costa Rica. If you are in a consulate that has denied you on the proclamation, and I know a lot of you have sent us emails, copies of email back, tomorrow you email those consulates, copy this order, and verify that you're a plaintiff and say, when am I going to get the visa issued? If you're a consulate that is basically closed or just slow walking stuff, it doesn't hurt for you to email them and say, look, you can't stop the visa being issued because of the proclamation. So when can we set up for this interview? What you really want to do is we need to set the stage for the judge 2 weeks from now that each of you have made efforts to try to get visa issued. With now, they just have to be issued according to their workload, COVID issues, etc. And then we can attack individual countries, because some of you come a bunch from one country, from another country. We can attack that one country, for example, much more easily than attacking a one-off, but we can do that as well. But you have to help set us up factually for that meeting with the judge, so we can give supplemental briefing country by country. And I forget, I think we have 15 or 16 countries, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Zach's got that memorized. I would also note, and this is something that I think Aaron and Zach said, is the judge on this issue, he didn't pay attention to our reply brief. And we need to wake him up to that in our meeting with him, which you'll have access to as well on the 3rd of December. So just we're going, this is just the first step.
Yep. Chuck. That's a funny spot that he freezes up at. All right, Jeff, you're muted.
I posted Robert Latham's question here. What do you think about Robert Latham? If it's been 600 days since his case was transferred to Juarez, is that one of the ones that would be?
I think so.
Absolutely. So that's one of the ones that, what I think we will do is we will take the spreadsheet we provided them and we will sort it for, cases that have been delayed the longest. Because it is clear that appeared to be, one of the here's the thing. The judge said irreparable harm is established for all of you. It is presumed for all of you. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. We won that issue too. The only issue that we didn't win is this universal issue of delay. Is it universally unreasonable across the board to say for all of you, and frankly, for all K-1 plaintiffs in the entire universe, that the delay from the Department of State is unreasonable? And that's not as far as the judge is willing to go now. But when we have facts like this, and we have cases where we can say, Judge, the delay in this case is unreasonable, those are the cases that we will bring through to the judge. Let me see if there's other questions. And anything that you have to add to that, Zach?
I mean, I also think these types of cases are the prime examples that we're wanting to bring up the other side and just, email the other attorney and say, here are the ones that are going to be, best situated for individual actions. Do you want to just resolve them now, or, do you want us to bring this up in front of the judge in the status conference? So, gives us individual leverage as well.
Okay, can you answer this question, Zach? What about cases? So, we talked about delay, a case that's been delayed for 600 days or more. What about a case for a person whose case is stuck at the NBC on the other side of the equation?
I think it's the same thing. I mean, I think delay is delay here. He's already gotten all the other factors in our favor. As long as we're able to show that the delay is unreasonable and it's taking forever, I think that it's a winning issue for us.
Jeff, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about what these track factors are, and that we won on some of them, but on this fourth factor, the effect of expediting delayed action on agency activities of a higher or competing priority, the judge wasn't buying it on our side on that, and what that means, what that's about, and how we're going to address that.
Yeah. So, and understandably so, right? So this feeds into what Zach was saying, partially about them ignoring statistics. But I think the way that we're going to approach this is that, yes, the agency does get to set priorities, but the way that they're setting priorities doesn't make sense, because they've always said that we prioritize families. We always have prioritized fiancés as the equivalent of spouses of U.S. citizens. The prioritization we're challenging is why are those priorities less than B1s, ESTA?
Well, what about the fact that they have actually said that K1s would be prioritized? So they've made that policy, but they're not actually implementing it.
Yeah, I think that's true as well. And their stats belie that. We presented the stats to show that, and the judge sort of blew over that.
This was like what I was most aggravated about when I read this. I mean, he kind of just took all of the government stats at face value and really didn't even address what we put forward. So,
right, but we're going to have an opportunity to talk to the judge about that, which is helpful, and it's not too far away that we get to do that. So hopefully we can educate him a bit more about this.
I did post this because several of you have said similar sentiments to this, that the messaging seems to be changing a little bit out of the Department of State, that, all of a sudden I got an appointment in Nigeria. All of a sudden I got an appointment here. So it could be that this is enough of a decision for the plaintiffs, at least the plaintiffs in this case, for the consuls to say, okay, let's move on these cases.
Chuck said he's waiting till he gets back, get some bar. He has one bar, so he'll be back on as soon as he can figure it out. Okay. What other? So, do we? All right. Has the judge ordered the DOS to process K1 visas then, since he declared it illegal? So he said that for countries that are subject to these 14-day bans, that cannot be the reason why they're not issuing visas. So, if that's the reason that you're not getting your visa in a particular country, that's not going to be an acceptable excuse anymore. I guess is the way to put it.
New question. How long would you say is an unreasonable delay? What I would say is what we tried to do is we tried to present evidence from the same period of time, 3 years, I think it was 3 years back, prior to COVID, right? So we tried to give sort of apples and apples analysis. And to be honest with you, the judge didn't buy it. I mean, we were saying that the levels of processing were just not significantly different, and the judge didn't buy it. So hopefully when we get to the point where we're having to make arguments on individual cases about unreasonable delay, we can again go back to these statistics and show how they work and as applied to an actual case.
I also think when we have a conference with the judge, we'll have a pretty strong argument to make regarding the National Visa Center delays. That has COVID should have no bearing on that. All the excuses that they made so far with respect to consulates being shut down doesn't apply at all to the National Visa Center. And I'd like to see if we can work with them on pushing the State Department to make sure that process is happening.
And Sarah Rubenstein said their interview had been canceled back in March. Should they email the embassy in Madrid citing to the ruling to try and get it rescheduled?
Yes. Yeah. Everybody who's in a country that is subject to the 14-day bans, which is basically Ireland and the UK have their orders, EU, Schengen countries, Iran, Brazil, and China. If you're in any of those countries, you should definitely, send. I would be sending this email tonight.
What about NIEs, Greg? Did the judge say anything about national interest exemption?
Mm-mm.
He
No.
mentioned it in the decision as part of the relief we were seeking, but never really addressed how it impacted his case or what his decision.
I feel like he took, like, it was an either or. He said, like, you know, we could either make it an NIE exception, or we can just say, you know, you have to issue visas to all these travel ban countries. That's kind of how.
Yeah, so the consulates could decide essentially, which is good because we know that some of the consulates have been granting NIEs in at least in Europe. I think, Greg, you already answered this. The answer is yes. I mean, the judge found that applying the proclamations as a means of saying no visas is illegal, and that they have to start actually processing the visas. So yes.
If the consulate's just saying we are in a phase that we're not, you know, that we have very limited appointments, we're not able to make appointments for anybody, you know, that's going to be that right now. That's where our fight is going to be continuing.
No, I would say not that you are an NIE, just that, you know, the judge has ordered that they have to start issuing visas.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so this is where it becomes the order is really going to be very vague for you if you're saying, yeah, here's an order saying you have to give me an NIE, because I don't think it goes that far. I think what it says is, you know, these consulates can approve visas. How they do that is up to the individual consulate. So I think what you'd want to do first, Russell, is just try and get the appointment first and get the visa issued. And then if they say no, you know, we're not processing, then see if you can get an NIE as a K1. Can non-plaintiffs also benefit from this?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the judge, I mean, we have a decision where the judge says this is an illegal policy on there. I would think that the State Department is going to have a hard time sending an order out to the consulate saying that you can, you know, that you can violate the law for everybody but the plaintiffs on there. I would think that this is going to be something that should benefit non-plaintiffs.
That's right.
But what's going to happen is there will be some kind of memorandum going. There'll be something published on the travel.state.gov probably in the next couple of days, explaining to the consulates how to implement this decision. Hopefully, they will apply it across the board, but we'll see what the State Department does, because obviously, if they make it really limited to the plaintiffs, we're going to go back to the judge and say, you know, why are they basically saying that your decision shouldn't apply across the board if you just said this policy is illegal? So we don't know for sure if it's going to apply to non-plaintiffs, but we'll know shortly what the State Department position is going to be.
And what should we include in our email when referencing the judge's decision?
So when I was doing this for the Gomez folks, I just cited the decision directly, and the response that the individual got didn't reference the decision at all. They just said there's an appointment slot available. So
you can provide the link to the decision that we put in the email that you all got, and also that we put on Twitter.
Yeah.
This is data work a couple of days ago. When we started with K1, we're a long question. We're on the last step. On Monday before the shutdown, do you think you can at least get an ESTA once things open again?
Yeah, I mean, they're giving ESTAs, so you could try for that. Yeah, especially if they're not giving you the K1 for sure.
Right. You want to be careful about actually marrying if you come over on the ESTA, because that creates all sorts of risks of fraud findings and things like that. But if you're just wanting to be together while the K1 is processing, that's an appropriate use of ESTA as long as you intend to leave the country on time and come back the next time on a K1.
Okay, I'm seeing if there's other questions here. This is a good one.
Is there going to be a template for all of us to use to email our embassies with all the information they would need, our cases for reissue in London? We could probably work on something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that would probably makes more sense coming from us, because we know what the parameters of the decision would be. So we will get something out.
Beyonce is from Colombia. You're waiting on the interview to be scheduled. Colombia is not responding to emails. What do we do now?
I mean, I don't know. Is Colombia shut down completely, or are they processing? I don't even know. If they're processing, I would send them a copy of the decision and say the judge said that you can process K1s. Can we get an interview? Same thing with this question. Same thing. If it's closed down, you know, they're not gonna. The judge can't do anything about that.
But it's closed down and they're just not responding to you. The other thing you might want to look at doing is getting some congressional help.
Yeah.
And they can the congressional the senator or the congressman's office can also ask the same question, saying we think our constituent should be benefiting from this legal decision. What's happening on there? Although Colombia is not one of the banned countries. To contact based on what state they're at and what they.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. When we get that template, we will give it to you and tell you how to use it, depending on whether you're NVC or at Post. Will plaintiffs get priority? I don't think the judge went that far. I don't think the judge said, you know, you have to prioritize these plaintiffs above other K1s or above other visa classes. I don't think that's essentially what the judge would rule in mandamus, right? The judge would rule that these particular plaintiffs need to be granted. That's not what the judge did. What the judge said is, you cannot deny people visas under this ruse that, you know, they're subject to the proclamation. That's just not true. And so the judge said you have to process K1s, but the judge didn't give them a specific timeline under which they have to process K1s for you or in general.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. I mean, this is an argument we made that they did not address. I mean, what the judge, the judge did say that family unity is at the heart of the immigration process, but the judge didn't really address the distinction that we made that K1s are treated functionally the same as immediate relatives.
Yeah, I mean, he pointed out one thing that was a bit of a challenge, which he said we weren't able to show that there was any like impropriety going on or they had bad motives in doing it. And we never really figured out why they decided K1s were going to be, you know, treated the way they are compared to other categories. There wasn't a smoking gun that we found that said, you know, we hate Beyonce's and we're going to treat them worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the issues that he started to, and you know, so that's. But on the other hand, I mean, I think if you look at the data and all that, you still see, even if there's not a motivation there, that the State Department should be at least explaining why they've done what they've done, which they never did. They just said that we were wrong. They denied that they said proportionally things hadn't changed, and it was still the same proportion between the CR1 and the K1. So, you know, that's obviously, I think if the judge buys that, which he may have based on the way the decision reads on there, then, you know, obviously, you know, it's not even really that important, because if there's not if your situation hasn't gotten worse proportionally compared to the immediate relatives, then I don't think he has to get to issues about motivation or anything like that. So we're going to have to work with them on that issue.
I think that might be all the questions. Let's see. Do we still have to go to a third country?
Not if you're in a net. Well, yes, actually you do. If you get the visa, he hasn't provided a, well, we wanted the national interest exemption so that it wouldn't be necessary to go to a third country. This gets you the visa. You're still going to have to go someplace else for 14 days unless President-elect Biden, you know, does something about it, which unfortunately, he hasn't made any announcements yet regarding what he's doing with these bans, but at least for you guys, the bans are no longer an issue. But we still have, you know, he hasn't made any announcements yet about resuming. Well, this is still an issue for you to the extent you have to go someplace for 14 days. That we're waiting on the, you know, the Biden transition team to say something about that. All they've said so far is that they are going to get rid of the Muslim ban on the first day, make some changes on DACA, and do stuff on the border. the question about what's going to happen with the 14-day bans, the non-immigrant ban, the immigrant ban, we don't know yet on that. So, obviously we still have to win on this stuff because I don't think Biden's going to fix it for us on day one. He'll probably get to it later on. I'm sure that the Biden transition team is reading, is going to be looking at this issue as well, because I think they were hoping that these lawsuits were basically going to make the issue go away for them. This is partially makes the issue go away from them, at least with respect to one non-immigrant category, the K-1s. But they're going to have to make some decisions on this, which we don't know what they're going to do yet.
Another question on there.
You sue for punitive damage since you suffered irreparable harm. And unfortunately, that's not something the government is going to lose on. In America, you can sue for anything, but you're not going to win on that one.
I'm trying to find non-specific legal questions.
Jeff, I mean, why don't you talk about, like, if people decided that they wanted to, pursue something individually, how do they do that?
An individual mandamus for a name plaintiff or non-name plaintiff?
For a named plaintiff, they have to drop out of the case to pursue it individually? Or?
I don't know, actually, if you could do that, having raised a legal claim in the case. If you could.
He said in the opinion that people could pursue this individually.
Right. I don't know what he means by that, though.
Well, I think we'll have to get clarification from him on December 3rd on that. So Stay tuned on that issue to see. Obviously anybody who's not non-plaintiff can, but I think we have to figure out what the judge meant when he said that in the decision. I agree, it's not clear.
Right. I almost read it to mean, like, if you can show me unreasonable circumstances on individual cases, I may feel otherwise.
Right. So
I would question why we would have to dismiss one lawsuit and file another one on an individual case in order to show an
No, that's why I'm hoping that the answer on that is no, that you want to pursue something individually, that's still something you have an option to do without giving up any rights in the case. Some of the CT cites COVID for delays. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially the problem part of this decision is that they actually have to, they can't just cite it. I mean, they're going to still have to be able to show the judge that in fact the conditions in the country, would merit that. I would say, like, we brought this up a couple times, the New Zealand example, or China is a good one as well, where there's no COVID cases in China right now. They really have no excuse at all in China for this, but they have the travel ban part of it. That issue's out of the way. I think that's a fairly easy one to raise to the judge, is why, what's the excuse in countries that don't have COVID, Judge? What about reissuance of expired visas during COVID? My case was in Madrid. That's another one, Jeff. If there's no need to do a re-interview, then, I mean, that's the whole thing, is that the judge basically doesn't want to second guess them on public health issues as far as why they're not doing things. But to the extent that an interview is not required in a case, either because it's at the NBC or because you've already had a visa previously issued that can just be reissued, I think those are individual cases that we're certainly going to want to present to the judge.
I agree. I mean, I think this is a case where, it's not even an unreasonable delay issue. It's just a convenience issue. I mean, this really was, the visa had already been issued. All you have to do is pull the trigger and issue a new one. So I think these are the kind of cases that we would say to the judge would be unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm stuck in NVC and from Schengen. What shall I do? I think that what the judge has said is that the fact that a person is subject to a Schengen ban does not prohibit visa issuance. So you should probably attach a copy of the order, send it to NBC, and tell the judge that you would like it to be sent to post. whether you include evidence that you're willing to quarantine in a country for 14 days is sort of a decision you have to make. I don't know whether you'd have to convince the NBC of that or not in order to get it to
do we have communications from NBC to any of our plaintiffs saying that they were not transferring files to?
Yeah, a lot.
Because of the proclamation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously those are front and center as far as people that need to be citing the memo. If they've told you that, the NBC, that the proclamation prevents them from proceeding, obviously.
NBC should be prohibited from doing absolutely nothing. I mean, they should be able to do absolutely everything under this order. There's nothing that the NBC can't do under this order. If your cases are stuck at the NBC, they should be able to move based on this order. The only thing this order says is that, you know, the judge, they can't deny you K1s. They can't say we're not processing K1s. All that the judge said is that the timing is unreasonable, right? Or we can't decide if the timing is unreasonable across the board. Let's see. Here's a good one. How do we find out if a consulate is closed? I don't think, as far as I know, Greg, I only think there's 1 or 2 consulates in the world that are actually physically closed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there shouldn't be a consulate closure. There may be redirections where they're redirecting people to other consulates, but no consulate should be closed to processing altogether.
Right. Now they're metering essentially appointments at these consulates, and some of them are, you know, some of them are only doing, you know, the emergency things and that, but there's nobody that, to my knowledge, it was Nepal and Ghana, I think, were the only ones that I was aware of.
What question? I can't tell which question.
Which question? All right. NBC said the consulate is not doing routine visa services and told me to contact the consulate. The consulate is citing the travel ban. Yeah. So any situations that was from C. Zhao. If you're getting those communications from NBC or the consulate, that's where this order is definitely going to be helpful. Yeah, so this is going to be a problem with country. I mean, if a consulate's on total, if there's a total lockdown, and they can't, there's nobody coming in to the embassy and doing actual interviews, then then they're going to be able to cite this. Hopefully, that will only last a couple of weeks. But that's if that's not the, if you're in a place that's not in lockdown, then that shouldn't be the excuse. Jeff, what are you looking at?
I'm looking at the questions.
Okay.
Trying to keep up. They're coming in fast. Yes, I think the answer to this one is yes. Having a family in a third country is a good evidence that you have plenty of place to go to quarantine. Since March, yeah, I mean, I think the longer your case has been delayed, the more likely it is that the judge is going to say the delay in that case is unreasonable. Mm. And it seems like a lot of you are from Juarez, and that those cases may be delayed, some of the ones that are delayed the longest. So,
right. So I mean, I think the sense I got from the judge is I'm not willing to just say across the board that there's been unreasonable delays for the whole as a group on there. Jeff, the more I think about this, the more I think you're right. He's basically saying I have to look at this on an individual, on a person by person basis, and I'm not going to just across the board say it. So I think that's what we're going to have to figure out from the judge on December 3rd about, Judge, we know we have a bunch of these cases that by any reasonable standard, they've been on, that they've been delayed, and ask him, let the judge basically give us a sense about what he would consider for a mandamus, and which ones are not going to, and we'll have to just see what happens on December 3rd.
Yeah, and if the government chooses to fight us on this issue of whether the proclamation is invalid, then they're going to have to continue to come to the court and with status conferences and justify the continued delays, right? So it's sort of they're in a really tough spot now. They either agree to adjudicate all these cases to settle with us, or they litigate this issue and they have to justify to the court every time we go the delays, which I just don't think they're going to do. So I think in all circumstances, even though if you read between the lines, this is a win for us in a big way.
Yeah, well, that's true, and they know there's a new sheriff coming to town.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Okay, can you explain the order for each group, what it means? So you did this before, Greg, but what it means for the proclamation-based countries and the non-proclamation-based countries, what the order means.
right, the proclamation. If you're from one of the countries, Ireland, UK, or the Schengen countries in the EU, or China, or Iran, or Brazil, you are subject to you have been barred from getting visas because of a State Department policy that says if a proclamation applies to one of these countries, they're not issuing a visa, even though you can go to another country for 14 days. They don't care. They're not issuing the visa at all. We've won on that issue. That is no longer a basis for denying you a visa. The issue that the judge basically wasn't ready to give across the board an across the board win for us was on whether on the unreasonable delay issue, which affects all of you guys on there, whether he was going to say across the board, you've all suffered an unreasonable delay, and I'm going to issue an order that says all of your cases need to be adjudicated very quickly on there. What he did say was that he would, he might say that in the future if there's no progress on this. And he also indicated that he would consider matters individually, which is the part I need to kind of look more closely at to see what how he worded that, because I think that obviously would impact our strategy for the December 3rd, the next time we're in front of a judge. So that's and I guess that Jeff. So that's what, 2 weeks from now.
The what?
December 3rd.
December 3rd is, yes, the week after next, correct. So
yeah, we'll send you guys. We'll send out an email to everybody with calling instructions so that you can listen in.
Couple questions on mootness. Will they continue to try and moot you out? Yes, absolutely. Even in this email chain, if you read up the chat, you can see that it appears that people are starting to get scheduled for interviews. So it sounds like things are moving in the right direction, and that's just what the judge is going to want. The judge is going to want to see that if they're going to choose to litigate this, they better be moving on the cases. Did the NAM v. DHS case play a part in this? After tomorrow, embassy should have a plan on how to process regular visas. Yes. Somebody said there's a dam breaking. It's not just us that are fighting these proclamations. It's a number of lawsuits around the country, and nearly all of them have been successful in breaking the dam. So absolutely, the case in NAM helps. Our case in Enunciado helps. Our case in Tate helps. All of these are trying to kind of just bombard the dam until they finally give up and say, okay, fine, we're back to normal. Mm-hmm. Can you all wear your t-shirts on December 3rd? God, that would be brave. Would be brave.
The judge sounds like he has a bit of a sense of humor. You might
I'm more inclined to dress up like Romeo. I thought the decision was really good. All right. Is it case-by-case basis on what is a reasonable delay? That doesn't make a precedent for anyone else on that issue. The precedent is the bigger issue, actually. The precedent is the 212F issue, right? That we won the legal issue, that this is an unlawful agency action to deny K-1 visas. So that's the precedential issue. The mandamus issue on an individual, I think it would be very difficult to say across the board universally, these are all delayed, right? The only way, and what we were trying to argue, is that when you say that all cases are on hold, that you can hardly argue delay, because there's no processing at all if all cases are on hold. And the judge's response was, but yeah, they are issuing K-1s, right? And we know that that's on a very limited basis, but that's the hard part of making a universal decision in mandamus. So now we have to go to the judge with individual cases to make those arguments that the judge should grant it, or try and get the agency to moot it out so that we don't make that argument to the judge.
Jeff, I have a politics question for you. Do you think that the State Department and the Department of Justice, the fact that they've lost the election, will have any impact on their strategy between now and the Biden team coming in?
On a case like this, on a K1 fiance case, I don't.
Or on how hard they want to fight on the
Oh
issue.
yeah. I think, in other words, I think they're not going to want to litigate fiance cases. We're not as confident, for example, in the DOL wage case, right? Because
they don't want to appeal this issue, the 212F issue.
I could see a Democrat or a Republican administration wanting to have presidential authority to. I could see them fighting this just on wanting to retain presidential authority to prohibit entry and expand that authority. Yes, I think they would appeal it.
So just be aware that that's a possibility. Is that the government could, they could seek an appeal of this decision.
But remember that one way they win this case is to moot out all of you. That's one way that they win the case is if you're all mooted, then there's no case or controversy any longer.
That is true. They can make if they make everybody go away by just approving them, then they don't have this decision on the books.
Right. Let's see. I think that's all the questions. Since we are suing Pompeo and others who won't be in their official job, what happens with the case? It goes to their successors. Whoever their successors are, they're automatically substituted.
The Biden administration would probably drop an appeal. That's what's being discussed now on other cases that are going to be at that stage. I don't think they would continue litigation on this issue. I think they would just like it to die.
What about countries not processing K1 at all? Again, we're not aware. We're only aware of a couple of consulates that are closed. Others should be open and processing K1s. Can you use the judge's ruling to say to NBC that they need to send the case to the embassy? Yes, the embassies should no longer be saying to you, we're not processing K1s, we're not sending case to post. That is not true. The judge ruled that in particular is illegal. So you can send the order and say, send the case to post. South Africa not processing K1s because of phased resumption. See, here's where I think the judge's order on the government being able to set priorities in terms of what categories of visas to process, we lost that in the track factors. So I don't think that we get at least at this point to make an argument that phased resumptions means that they have to give fiancé visas. I think they can treat them in regard to other visas however they want to. There's a rumor. Again, somebody earlier on the list said that they were scheduled for an interview in Nigeria today. So I don't think that I don't know what that means that Nigeria will resume. I think that they're already processing K1s. Okay. When will we get the template out to you? Well, we will work on it and try and get it out to you tomorrow. I think we should be able to get it out tomorrow. It shouldn't be that. We'll keep it pretty simple, and then give you instructions of, depending on whether you're at NBC or at Post, what to do with it. What we can't do, as far as I know, Greg, is we can't give out emails for embassies unless those are public, right? Some of them are on the websites in public, which we could do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right.
Where can we get a copy of the order? I believe Greg sent it out, didn't you, Greg?
I sent out the memorandum. I didn't send the order itself is just one page, which I thought you had posted on your Twitter feed.
Yeah, it's both. I posted both on my Twitter feed, so there's a link to them there. The order is just a one-page PDF. What is the expected outcome on December 3rd?
Well, for one, they're going to have to give a report about which cases are still pending on there. I think by that point, what we're looking to do is to be able to present some kind of spreadsheet showing which cases have the most in order of most egregious delays. We'll present that to the judge, and we'll try and get a sense from the judge about, for individuals, as far as continuing to report, what he would consider to be an unreasonable delay on an individual basis, as well as one of the things that we're hopefully going to get out of that hearing is some guidance from the judge on what he means by that.
Good question. This will help non-plaintiffs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This decision basically says that the position of the Department of State across the board is
I
not.
think it not only helps non-plaintiff K1, but it helps non-plaintiff in every other category that needs to get a visa that hasn't. I mean, I certainly think it's going to help in our Tate versus Pompeo case for the O1s on there. But if anybody who's in a non-immigrant category or in an immigrant category that is being denied an appointment on the basis of that proclamation, this is definitely good news for them.
Phoebe, the answer to your question is yes. You may still have to go to another country for the 14-day quarantine, but they have to process your visa. What is the best way to reach NVC? They just sold a carrier pigeon. I read this on the news that it was like $1.9 million. I think that's probably the best way to reach them. And I'm not kidding. There's really not a good way to reach the NVC. One of the plaintiffs actually made friends with somebody at the NVC and like has their personal phone number now. But that's the only one that I know.
What about through a congressional liaison?
Yeah, I think yes. I mean, if you have not done that already, always congressional liaisons are good at getting cases unstuck. They have to answer their phone calls. So. Let's see. If the embassy is blaming NVC for not sending, again, you'd want to attach this order and say, that's not true. NVC should not be not sending things to post. Will we have something to prove we are a plaintiff? Yes, we can provide you the first page of the complaint showing it's stamped with the ECF number at the top of it, showing your name on page 1 through 30 of the complaint, because there were a lot of you, and we had to put your addresses. Here, somebody put the link to visa issuance. So thank you, Nick. Somebody asked that up above. This is the link to this visa issuances. Here's the NVC inquiry, otherwise known as the black hole. Good luck. Yeah, this is what you get if you send that email. If you do this, you get this. Philippines Embassy. I've had a lot of questions about Manila. What's going on in Manila? Do you know, Greg? I don't even know.
I know that I believe some of the nurses have been getting their immigrant visa interviews there, but obviously they're under under the healthcare NIEs. I'm not sure what's happening with respect to the non-NIE categories there, but they are functioning.
I mean, they are issuing some in non-immigrant visas, but the numbers are low. It's just not processing nearly as much as they normally do.
Does the complaint show amended plaintiffs? No, but the amended complaint does. So we'll send you a copy of the amended complaint that will have your name on it. Will the consulate reply to our email, or still they need to wait for an instruction guide from DOS? Probably they won't know about it until DOS headquarters sends them instructions about the case. But
Jeff, it's on these other cases like Gomez or Nam and all that. They take about they don't take that long. It should probably be within a week. They'll have some kind of communication.
Right. So there will be an official announcement on the Department of State website that will apply to all K1s, and then they will send instructions to all the consular officers at post to adjudicate K1s. In the meantime, you can send your email with a copy of the order and the template that we send you that we will prepare for you. I think we already answered this. Your name will be on the second complaint, the amended complaint. What is the delay portion of the Boasberg ruling? So essentially, the judge said that we win on the merits. We win on the issue of the proclamation being illegal, or at least the use of the proclamation to not process K1s. But he wasn't willing to say that in all cases the delay is unreasonable. He left the door open. That doesn't mean that he doesn't think that we will be able to establish it in individual cases, and as the case goes on, that we won't be able to establish it universally. So basically, the government's on the ball to just do their job. How can plaintiffs get a copy of the email template? How can non-plaintiffs get a copy of the email template? You have to rely on the kindness of your Milligan plaintiffs.
That's one to give it to you.
Just to be clear, this ruling states that embassies who are not processing K-1 visas solely because of the presidential proclamation can no longer do that. Yes, that's exactly what it says. So Philippines is making up their own damn rules, it sounds like. And that may be one where, you know, we have to go in and argue that if they're doing that, that's just a separate rulemaking. I honestly don't know how we would challenge that.
If you have actually something from the embassy saying, you know, that is actually happening, that would be actually useful information for us to get.
Yeah, planning to amend the lawsuit to include additional plaintiffs, probably not at this point, right? I mean, we have a decision. We know that the judge is going to, he's going to decide ultimately on the issue. So I can't anticipate that it would be beneficial to you to pay the money to be added to our complaint, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
What about updating the harms? Yes, so the status, as we do these status conferences, that's what we will be doing, is going in and talking about, you know, how the additional delays are causing additional harms. How can you send them an email and they don't have an email address? Most of the consulates have email addresses on their websites. There'll be a generic email like ivunit@state.gov or whatever, so they're there.
If they don't, they probably
I did see the Giuliani picture on Twitter.
No, I did not, but if send me a picture of it on Facebook. I definitely want to see any melting like the Wicked Witch, like that kind of.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. What is the second part of his ruling that we're waiting on? We're not. We got the whole ruling. It's just he's basically saying, you know, I'm not ready to pull the trigger that
Right.
this is
Kind of kick the can down the road on unreasonable delays.
Yeah. So basically, the government's in a really tough spot now, right? Because the government knows that we won. We are substantially likely to win this case. That, remember, I told you that's one of two things we have to prove: is substantial likelihood to win and irreparable harm. We won on both of those things, right? The judge found that we're ultimately going to win the case, which puts the government in a tough spot. Does the government really want to take this to summary judgment and risk a precedent decision on this? Or does the government want to try and settle with us and try and moot these cases out? And to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know what the government's going to do. And that's what we were talking about before. There's some argument that
they do have an incentive to just basically approve all of these cases and make the case mooted out altogether, which doesn't help the non-plaintiffs, but correct you guys. Whether that's, you know, on the other hand, you know, who knows whether they may question whether they can actually get the job done to be able to do that, how quickly they can do that as well. So I guess that to the extent that, you know, but we saw in the Acker Gomez case that they can
appeal.
But they can approve a lot of cases in a hurry if they want to.
Yeah, but the other point I would make about this is that even though the government's in a tough spot, the issue here is one that any presidential administration would potentially want to litigate. So I don't think a Biden administration coming in necessarily would say, no, don't litigate this, because even if we're winning the substantially likelihood of winning.
I'm not so sure about that. I think that the issue about barring entry is not an issue in this case. That's the main issue that they care about. What's the incentive for them, you know, for Team Biden to want to have the ability to bar visa issuance versus just barring entry?
I think it's a presidential powers issue. It's a presidential powers issue either way, right? You could see a situation where it sets precedent and then it gets used to expand rather than narrow limitations on. So I don't know. I'm not saying they'll do that. I think a more likely scenario is the government says, this is probably not the one we want a precedent decision on. This judge, by the way, is very artful, as you can see in his decisions. So they don't want this one to be a beautiful little, nice, pretty packaged precedent decision. So I agree with you, Greg. I think they're going to try and move these or settle them. Like, we will agree to adjudicate all of these cases within X state. That's a possibility. Mm-hmm. Universal settlement.
Yeah, I think we're going to know a lot more in the next couple of days.
And the status conference, somebody asked, you know, what's the purpose of the status conference? I don't know, but I do know that what we will do before then is we'll contact the government and say, you know, So what do we do now? What's the plan? Now that we essentially are going to win, what's the plan, right? Do we want to resolve this in a way that's beneficial to all of us? So, and we will keep you posted, obviously, of that. All right, let's see. We have to wrap this up in about 5 minutes. So not looking good for non-plaintiffs at the moment. No, not true. It's looking good for everyone. The decision applies across the board. As long as your case has been delayed,
we won.
Right.
We won. We won on the injunction issue with respect to that very important question that Jeff has been explaining. So definitely, non-plaintiffs who are in that situation definitely benefit. Non-plaintiffs who were not subject to the proclamations, probably this doesn't help you.
Mm-hmm. Are plaintiffs prioritized over non-plaintiffs? Yes, because you have a government attorney now that is your advocate, right? You've got a U.S. attorney that's now your advocate trying to get your case adjudicated. So I would say that being a named plaintiff has that benefit for you.
I think he's a non-plaintiff. That's why he's asking that.
Yeah.
All right.
I couldn't see page 1 of the judge's order on your Twitter, Jeff. Where can we find this? We will post it to, I think.
You know, the entirety of the text of the order is actually a docket entry. So you can just go to like Pacer Monitor or something like that, look up the case, and it'll display.
But Greg can send it out to all the plaintiffs tomorrow. We'll send you a PDF of it tomorrow. Just we won't be able to do that tonight, but tomorrow we will. But Zach is right. It's literally like means. In fact, I character limit tweet the whole thing, but I tweeted it in 3 parts. Is there anything we can do right now to be mooted more quickly? No.
Nothing's going to happen before December 3rd.
Right.
Well, unless we have some interesting conversation with the government, we'll just have to see how that goes. We will be talking to them over the next couple of days.
Here's a good one. Will you get discovery to find out if state had back channel communication with post not to process K1s? I think if the government chooses to litigate this, then the judge is going to want to know the prioritization.
Another reason why they're going to want to settle.
Yes, so absolutely, that kind of information will help the judge make a decision, and we would ask for it. This one we already answered. Last question, I promised. I can type my email to the embassy tomorrow saying, as per Milligan v. Pompeo, my case should be processed immediately. No, that's not what you can say. What you can say is, as per Milligan versus Pompeo, the Department of State cannot deny or cannot refuse to process K1s. So your previous correspondence to me where you said we were not processing K1s is now unlawful. Whether you can say, should my case jump to the front of the line or process immediately? No, you can't say that. I mean, the judge specifically said the consulate gets to decide priorities between K1s and other categories, as well as K1s that are in line with other K1s. So the answer to your question is yes and no. We have a link to the 26-page full ruling on the group, but I haven't seen the 1-page order. Okay, I will fix that promptly, I promise. You can also check, I sent it to my website.
After this call, I'll find that and I'll send it out again. I'll send another email out to all the plaintiffs.
I also sent it to my website, people, so it should be on our website soon as well, the link to those.
Again, though, it's like 20 words, so not super detailed.
Can we complete the DS-160? It depends on the consulate. Some consulates require the interview before you do the DS-160, right? Or can you do the DS-160 and just keep it in draft? I don't even know the answer.
I missed that because I'm looking for that document.
Oh, sorry. I don't know the answer to your question, Anitra. Sorry. All right, you all. Well, that puts us to the top of the hour. Thank you all for staying in with us in this fight. It has been a pleasure to represent all of you as plaintiffs, and this is a huge victory for us, and it definitely puts the government in a position where they're going to have some serious decisions about whether they want to take this case forward or try and settle this. So,
and we will I guess as far, Jeff, do we want to have? Is there any reason to do another live stream before December 3rd?
Let's do this. If we talk to the government and we get some idea of what's going to happen on December 3rd, then I think it would be valuable to have another call next week.
Okay.
But if the government is like, I don't know, I have to talk to my client, and we have no answer before December 3rd, then I don't think it would be too valuable.
Right. Then I would just tell people, watch this recording again.
Exactly.
On there. But we will definitely have a, I think we'll definitely have something like right after, like we did last time, after the arguments, to give you a sense about how we think the hearing went.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. And morning, wherever you are. Afternoon.